The first grade book for the Teach Children to Save program is called Alexander Who Used to Be Rich Last Sunday. In your envelope you will find a copy of this book, a copy of the lesson plan, a sheet with coins on it like this, a chart that the students will fill out while you are reading the story to them. And there's also a transparency of a graph. The transparency will not be used during the banker's portion of the program. The graph is for the teacher to use as a follow-up. Now the important thing is when you, before you get to the classroom, you need to take this sheet of pennies and cut it out in strips, and then take the strips and either tape them or staple them together so that you have a long strip of pennies when you get to the classroom, because you will use this during the activity. So when you get to the class of first graders, you'll say, well, good morning, boys and girls. My name is Miss Jones, and I work for the XYZ Bank. I really enjoy working at a bank because it gives me a chance to help people. And helping people is what banks are all about. It helps them to save. We're going to read a book today about a boy who wanted to save for something. He gets some money, and then we're going to see whether he's able to save it in order to get the thing that he wants. When you save for something that you want, it's called a savings goal. So your savings goal might be to get a new bike, it might be to get a Nintendo DS, it might be to buy a book or a game, or even to go to a movie. So when we have a savings goal, we put our money aside, and we don't use it now, we put it aside for later. That's what saving is all about. And so Alexander, he had a savings goal, but he didn't really have a very good plan for saving for it. So I'm going to need some help in order to read this book and to help you understand it, boys and girls. So I'm going to need 3 people to come up to the front of the room. And I want one person to take this end of this long strip of pennies and go all the way to that end of the room. And I want one person to take this end and go to the other side of the room. And the third person will have a pair of scissors. And that person's job is to cut off the right number of pennies every time Alexander spends or uses his money for something. But first, let's see how many pennies we have here, boys and girls. And at this point, you would have the whole class count the pennies. Now, I know that sounds rather tedious, but believe me, first graders love to count, and they love to show off how high they can count. So you would point to the pennies and have them count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 100. And then you could say, you know, 100 pennies is the same as $1. And we all know what $1 looks like, a paper dollar. Would you rather have $1 in your pocket or 100 pennies? Well, $1 is much lighter and easier to carry around. 100 pennies is kind of heavy and bulky. So let's see what happens to Alexander, who used to be rich last Sunday. And then you begin reading. It isn't fair that my brother Anthony has $2 and 3/4 and 1 dime and 7 nickels and 18 pennies. His brother Anthony has quite a bit of money. It isn't fair that my brother Nicholas has $1 and 2/4 and 5 dimes and 5 nickels and 13 pennies. Even Nicholas has quite a bit of money. It isn't fair because all I've got is bus tokens. Does anyone know what a bus token is? It's kind of like a coin, but you can't use it to get a gumball or to buy candy at the store. It's only good to ride the bus. And Alexander says, most of the time, all I have are bus tokens. And even when I'm very rich, I know that pretty soon, what I'll have is bus tokens. I know because I used to be rich last Sunday. Last Sunday, Grandma Barry and Uncle Louie came to visit from New Jersey. Then it goes on to talk about how they gave each boy $1 and what the brother said they should do with the $1. But his mother said to him, if I really want to buy a walkie-talkie, I need to save my money. Saving is hard. And here you would pause and say, boys and girls, saving is hard because savings means that you cannot spend your money now. You have to put it aside to get something later, which means you might have to give up something now. Spending means getting something now, but then you don't have it later. And at this point, you would pass out this chart to each of the children, and they would need a pencil. And as you read, they're going to circle the correct word in the chart that tells how Alexander spent his money, and in this blank they're going to put the amount that he spent or used. And so we'll do the first one together. Because last Sunday when I used to be rich, I went to Pearson's drugstore and I got bubble gum. And after the gum stopped tasting good, I got more gum. And after that gum stopped tasting good, I got more gum. And even though I told my friend David I'd sell him all the gum in my mouth for a nickel, he still wouldn't buy it. Goodbye 15 cents. So you have the boys and girls look at their first line on their paper. There are 3 words: game, gum, and candy. How did Alexander use his money? He bought gum. So they would circle the word gum and write 15 cents in this box. And then the children in the front of the room would count off 15 pennies, and the child with the scissors would cut off that 15 cents. And we see gradually throughout the book how Alexander's dollar begins to get smaller and smaller and smaller until at the end he doesn't have any money left at all. And so the book goes through the many different instances in which Alexander either spends his money or loses his money, and with each one you would pause, have them circle the correct answer on their chart, and then to cut off the pennies. One thing to keep in mind is there's one line in the chart where there are 3 words: flash, flushed, and dropped. In that line, the children will circle 2 words because he flushed part of his money down the toilet and he dropped some of it down a crack in the sidewalk. So in this line, they will circle 2 words. So don't be confused if they think one answer is correct and the other. In that particular one, both answers are correct. So at the end, all the pennies will be gone. And we get to the end of the story, and Alexander says, I absolutely was saving the rest of my money. I positively was saving the rest of my money. I absolutely, positively was saving the rest of my money, except I needed some money to save. Because he used all of his $1, all 100 pennies, and now he has no money left to save for his walkie-talkies. And all he has left are some things that he bought at a garage sale and bus tokens. So in this story of Alexander, who used to be rich last Sunday, the concepts that we bring up to the first graders are saving and spending and savings goals. We do not introduce the idea of interest at the first grade level. And so you could talk about what kinds of savings goals they might have. And if you have time, they can turn over the sheet, and on the back, they can draw a picture of their savings goal. Maybe it's a new bike, maybe it's a game, maybe it's a trip to Great America. So it could be many different kinds of things that they are saving for. And so the thing you want to reiterate with the students is the importance of saving. And then you can say, boys and girls, when you save money, where do you save it? You could put it in a piggy bank, you could put it in a sock, you could put it in your drawer, in an envelope. There are lots of different places in your house where you can save money. But when that piggy bank gets really filled up to the brim, then you need to take the money someplace else because you can't fit any more coins in the piggy bank. That's when you ask mom or dad or grandma or grandpa or some grown-up in your family to take you to a bank and open a savings account. Because when you have a savings account, your money is safe and it stays in the bank and it's always there when you want to get it. Sometimes if you have a piggy bank, you might lose some money, or if you put it in your drawer, you might forget where you put it. But if you open a savings account and you put your money in a bank, it's always safe and it's always there whenever you want to get it out. So that concludes Alexander, who used to be rich last Sunday, our first grade lesson. And thank you very much, and hope you have a great time with the children. I know they appreciate all the help that you give them and the time that you spend with them.